What is up, guys? Welcome to the Unfazed Facts Podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things Gym Leader Challenge. I'm Joshua. I'm with Jeff, and we got Ben Morse with us, our own Full Grip Games insider. I've been a little sick over the weekend. I got my Hall's cough drops. I got my throat coat tea, and I'm ready because my voice has been cracking a lot. I've been coughing so much, but how are you boys doing on this fine evening?
So good. Just excited to be like another passenger and let Ben do all the talking tonight.
You guys know I love to yap, but yeah, I'm doing well and happy to be back on.
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
Talker. That was good. That was good. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
You can't be doing that to me right now, okay? You only got one good point, and that took your entire point. All right.
Can I say again? I get one good one per episode. Chuck it up.
It's been one full week. Okay, it's been one full week since the Full Grip Games 3K Gym Leader Challenge tournament that happened on the last week. It was pretty cool. There's a lot of cool things to be happening that week, and we saw a lot of different changes. Some decks got really buffed up, and we'll kind of get into that. But we got some stats for that Gym Leader Challenge tournament, and over that weekend there was 89 players. I heard 90, but based off the meta list and the addition that I did, I got 89, but I could be wrong. We got 7 rounds and a top 8 cut. So I believe it was 2 or 3 more players than the last Full Grip Games 3K. But that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the meta count. So we got meta, and that was a lot of Psychic. And actually, I believe we tied Psychic from the last Full Grip Games. I think the last Full Grip, I got the list right here, tied Psychic 27-27, which is kind of weird in a way. I know that the last time people just didn't want to play colorless, and colorless is actually tied as well with the same amount of decks being played. But we saw more people playing the same type this time instead of a little bit more well-rounded. I believe Fire didn't get played at all this tournament. There was only 3 last tournament. But going into this, you'll see a number that we're not used to seeing, and that's a lot of fighting. There's a lot more fighting than the last prior time, which we only had 3 of last time. That means we have 13 more fighting. And do you guys know why that happened?
Tell us.
Clue? Any clue?
No clue.
Any clue at all?
You know what? Also, those rocks, man. Those rocks. I mean, give me that Soul Rock Lunatune. I mean, that was some really good draw power added to that fighting deck, which was already pretty good. I think, like, when you look at like the players that brought fighting too, like, no one knew what to expect. I still wasn't trusting fighting, right? I was still like, you got to have 2 Pokemon on your bench and energy in hand. You're still got to jump through all these hoops and loops just to draw 3 cards, and other types can do this so much easier. So, like, the fact that 13 more people, 16 in total, put their trust in fighting, as someone who's been trying to play fighting for so long, just blows my mind. Like, and obviously we're going to see the results here in a bit, but man, it's just incredible that fighting is a good type. You see, like, Mahone came up in the Discord today and was like, fighting's good now. And I'm just like, yay. I don't think I want to play it anymore. I'd rather play something best.
Yeah, you want to play on bad decks, right? That's your favorite type, is the bad type.
Yeah, I can't play fighting anymore. It's officially good.
Yeah, it feels like this might be like the biggest tier list jump in a single set for a type. I can't think of a bigger one, but this is what everybody's been talking about and waiting for since GLC was created. Was like, as soon as fighting gets a draw engine, yeah, you guys better watch out. And sure enough, yeah, we're seeing it here. And of course, spoiler alert, it ended up taking the whole tournament. So. Yeah, the draw power of fighting, especially draw 3 on a basic Pokemon for fighting. Like, it's hard to ask for like a better situation, including when the draw power is tied to one of the best new attackers also in Soul Rock. 70 for 1 we already know that that's incredibly powerful for colorless with fan rotom, and now fighting has that as well. And I would argue that it's even better than fan rotom. I mean, in attacking, it's better than fan rotom because of the HP boost and it being a fighting type. But fan rotom itself, obviously, probably still better overall for its searchability. But yeah, it's crazy. It was between fighting and psychic for me to play to this tournament, and I ended up going psychic. But I did believe that it had the power to be a top contender.
Yeah, with fighting's buff per se, I was thinking, you know what, psychic might be a really good thing to pick, but then I was like, ooh, counter the counter. So can you get deeper into that and think that maybe playing dark would have also been a decent idea? No, because you got this trifecta of like weak.
Dude, dark's just down
very quickly. Too. Yeah, I very quickly was like, that wouldn't have been a good idea. But therefore, a second, if you hit a lot of psychic, you're more likely to hit more psychics, throughout the tournament, since there are 27 psychic players. That maybe dark would have been a little bit of a decent call, depending.
I don't know. I still feel like that's an uphill battle, to be honest.
I mean, dude, yeah. Just trade, no double energies. I mean, your Guzzlord's not going to be set up often enough. Yeah. Now you're getting Iron Bouldered continuously. Hand Disruptions is so much better. So, like, I love Dark. Maybe, I think in the next set with Grimsley being printed, I think we'll see some cool Dark brews getting cooked, and we'll see it, maybe resurge a bit. Obviously not to the extent that fighting just did, but I'm excited to see what Dark gets cooked up. But grass. I mean, 7 people. That to me is so surprising, because like fighting obviously was going to get a huge buff, but I feel like grass got a huge buff too. But only 7 people showing up, trusting the new stadium, Forest of Vitality. I mean, Vin, I know you tested psychic and fighting. Was grass anywhere in your mind when you were stepping up to this tournament?
It was not ever on my list to play. Just thinking about it, like I thought, yeah, you might spike a round or two by getting a really fast Forest of Vitality, or just setting up like all your stage 2s on turn 2 or 3, and that happened a couple games when I was playing it. But even that, like, again, in the face of so many psychic and even water decks, it's just such an uphill battle with grass, at least how grass exists right now. And I normally play, the now Mega Boom variant of grass featuring the new Meganium and Rillaboom. So a stage 2 build. And it's really fun to play, but even with the stadium, like, I just don't like. Back in the day when Forest of Giant Plants was goated, you had, like, think of any of the big basic attackers in format today. Like, none of those existed back then.
Yeah, they didn't.
Like, no Raging Bolt, no Okie Dokie, no Soul Rock, no Fan Rotom, no Unfaced Fat Snorlax, no Hop Snorlax, no Hop Cramorant. So, I think even when you can spend one turn evolving up quickly, the fact that your stage 2s now can just get KO'd in one hit by a lot of these Pokemon, it's such an uphill battle. So when the stadium was revealed, I thought for sure it'd be Andrew would instantly ban it, because I was like, yeah, we're not going to even play with this. Like, why would we even discuss it? So I was really surprised when he decided to keep it. But having, seen it in play, and even, past this tournament, you could see only 7 people decided to use it. I think he was spot on it in letting it exist, and I think it's honestly kind of a cool card to have exist.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think grass just it's just so hard to keep up. I think if it got Lunatone and Soul Rock, then we'd be talking maybe. That'd be kind of sick, honestly.
Yeah, grass only got one more person playing it than the last time, so you can really see that Lush Forest putting in the work.
Yeah, that's crazy. I honestly did think it would have a lot more players, even though, like, I personally wasn't going to play it. I did think it would be higher because, especially with fighting getting buff, and obviously no one knew the deck that ghouls ended up cooking up being so strong, but and kind of like just the fighting list we did see, it just kind of adding draw support. I thought, a fast evolving grass might have like a pretty decent time into that. So I kind of honestly thought more people might play it, but I do think Psychic still just kind of destroys it. Like it's not even close. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of time. Just with Wobbuffet and the deck that we ended up bringing Garbodor, I was like, yeah, I'm not worried about any of whatever grass pile people throw at me. Control's a different conversation. I'm just talking about attacking grass. Like we saw Eggmill get a top 8 position, and that's a different story. So
I wonder if part of it is like, we saw Colorless have like a huge drop off, right? It just felt like people didn't really know what to do with Colorless after the last 1K or 3K, whatever it was. And then like this, it just feels like, because I tried to nail down my grass list, and like just getting like a 60 that felt like was like getting the best out of every single piece just felt like impossible. So I'm wondering if it just like was a matter of just like not being able to like get that 60 in a tournament setting, because there weren't a lot of people cooking it, at least from what I saw online. Like obviously there were groups here and there that were trying to cook up a decent grass list to test against, but I wonder if maybe the next set is where we'll see grass really shine, just kind of like how Colorless had a little bit of an increase here as well. But all that's just conjecture at this point, so who knows? Only time will tell. The last point though to say is, even though we had 27 Psychic decks, we have like 6 different archetypes. That's super awesome.
Yeah. There was a ton of different Psychic representation. It's such a wide and broken card pool. You can kind of do anything with it. So yeah, it was never a doubt in my mind the Psychic, and honestly, Psychic was going to be number 1. I still thought Water would be number 2. I thought Fighting and Dragon would kind of be fighting for that number 3 spot, but I was surprised to see Fighting overtake Water. That was really surprising to me.
Yeah, it's definitely something for sure. But speaking on Psychic, we kind of had a new variety of Psychic. We've seen Garbodor being played in the past before, but with Gallade. But now we hear about a new Psychic deck with Garbodor, but mostly either big basics or stage 1s. And I know that you were kind of involved in that deck, maybe some of that thought process and some of the talks behind the scenes with that deck. What spurred some of the changes to that deck?
Yeah, so after the last 3K and Control got second, Water got first. Water was very highly played. Psychic and Water were the talk of the town. Water's now top tier. Before that, people were kind of like, maybe, but that kind of proved that it was up there with Psychic yet again. And right after that 3K, me and my buddy Alex Holtz were like, okay, surely the next one, Garbodor's got to be broken, right? But the lists that we were playing with back then, involved Garbodor is basically the only Pokemon with an ability. It had as efficient attackers as you could. It had like Boulder, Mimikyu. I had like TM Turbo Energize and Smoochum to power up like a Golurk, and like maybe you play Clefable to have like a 2 energy copycat. And it was just wildly inconsistent. Like you can set up Garb quickly, and sometimes that can win you the game, but it was just no game was you were ever like drawing what you wanted to as much as you would have hoped. So we cooked a couple different lists like that, and it just like I was like I have no confidence in actually playing this. Like I'd rather just play regular Gallade Psychic and hope for the best. Until maybe like a month before this 3K, we had kind of moved away from Garbodor, even though we like really wanted to believe in it, and we're like, okay, maybe we gotta wait for Phantasmal Flames, because that's when the Psychic patch comes out, and then you have this energy acceleration that doesn't rely on an ability. So like, oh, that'll pair great with Garbodor. So we just gotta wait till then. And then Mahone texted us one night, me and Alex, and he was like, okay, guys, like, I just came up with this idea, and it was Garbodor with Xatu and Malamar. And your attacking lineup was like, he still had Smoochum in the deck and still had, it was just like Iron Boulder, Mimikyu, Xatu, Malamar, Garbodor, and then you had like Blacephalon as like another 2 energy attacker, and then like Smoochum and Cleffa, and you kind of like go quickly. No shopping center. You just kind of were like, his idea was like, okay, if like someone knocks out Garbodor or if they field blower, you just need like 1 turn to get energy acceleration on board. So if you have Xatu and Malamar on board, you can like, the turn they counter your Garbodor, you can like get a couple energy into play and then relock abilities, and then they're never on again, right? And we're like, okay, like the concept sounds pretty good. And honestly, it was really creative of him to kind of like get there with that. So full credit to Andrew for coming up with this idea to put these energy accelerators in the deck. Although I will say, like, it was far from where we wanted it to be in testing, without things like shopping center. Like, honestly, shopping center kind of changed everything. And you mentioned like Garbodor has been played with Gallade in the past. Like a long time ago, I knew Weeder had a build. I don't remember what it was called. It was like, does anyone remember what that was called?
Shopping spree or something. It was like,
yeah, shopping spree or something. And I went back and looked at the list like after we were building this, and it's wildly different from where we are now. But like that, shopping center with Garbodor has always been in my mind because of seeing that list years ago. And I think he kind of gave up on it when the double energies were banned. Like, or at least that's when I haven't seen a new build since around then. And I think it was still using Golurk maybe.
I think he actually switched to a Lost Zone build, because I remember getting beat by him a couple different times where he was like lost. He was playing Lost Zone with Garbodor and just like ability locked you, and then like also just like took care of all your evos. You're just like, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. I don't fully remember, and I know he likes to throw in like the control cards. Like, there's probably a delinquent in there and things like that. So, but our idea, like I suggested to Andrew one night when we were playing, or like, how about, shopping center? And Andrew was like, no, like, no way. Like, that's so cute. Like, that's never gonna do anything. Like, and then I was and then Alex Holtz texted me like the next day, and he was like, what about shopping center? And I was like, I literally just told that to Andrew. He said no. And I was like, forget it. We're going to test it. And like within like the first couple games, we're like, okay, like, that shopping center alone, I think, makes the deck way more playable. So that one switch was great. And then we could move off the Smoochum and these other ways to kind of like finagle extra energy in play without having your abilities. So it opened up a lot of slots in the deck. Because that was the main problem with Garbodor, is like, you can lock abilities, but if your opponent does have an attack response, like, you're going to struggle to get energy into play. So like, we just found that with the Xatu and Malamar flexibility as well as shopping center, basically you can play as a normal psychic deck if you want. So there are several matchups that we had played through where we're like, we're not even going to go for Garbodor in this matchup. Like, we're just going to play it as a normal psychic deck and without Gallade, and just try and like keep up the prize trade. So like those aggro decks, like Fighting and Dragon, as you go through the game, you can like maybe find Garbodor on like the 2 or 3 prize turn when you end, but like early game, like, don't worry about it. You just want to, like, if they're going fast, you want to be able to keep up as you're like constantly disrupting them with Marnie, Iono, Judge, like all these things that we were playing. And the deck felt really good. And when we expected Psychic and Water to be the 2 most played decks, and those heavily rely on abilities, we just found that like so those are if you can have like a decent start with Garbodor and even the Frillish item lock that we added later on, because Andrew was testing against water, and sometimes they would have just if they just had like one good turn to like field blower and pour like 5 energy into play, it was like kind of hard to to overcome that sometimes. So and we were just like throwing Wobbuffet active and things like that, and we're like, item lock early game into water is almost better than Wobbuffet lock. Because there's no way they're powering up an attacker if they're not using items, even if they have like their abilities. Like they just have to rely on the item search card so much. So that was like the main reason we included the Frillish. So yeah, testing these different matchups, we came up with this Pokemon lineup that we ended up with, and we felt really confident going into it. And like I said earlier, our next main deck that we were hoping to play would be fighting. We didn't like really cook up a new list outside of Andrew's later build with like Garganackle and things like that, because it felt strong at first, and then just as we played it more, we're like, it kind of still struggles into Psychic, and we didn't really like spend a ton of time trying to like fix that matchup really. We're just like, we'll just play Psychic.
Yeah.
Just play the deck.
So yeah, that's kind of exactly. So that's kind of why we stuck with Psychic, and we just had like a really fun time playing with Garbodor. It felt really good into the other Water and Psychic decks, which we were expecting to see, and there's some novelty in having this kind of like unknown archetype. I don't think a lot of people are expecting to see Garbodor, and if they were, like, definitely not when I'm also benching like Malamar and Xatu and things like that. So
yeah, not at all.
Yeah, so it was fun to cook up. We just talked about it mostly. We don't meet up that much. Like we all live pretty far apart, and we're also not webcam warriors. So like outside of like
I'm not a webcam warrior anymore either, man. I got tired of setting that stuff up.
Yeah, we just love to like. I mean, speaking for myself, and Andrew's a busy person and stuff, but I don't love playing webcam. I just get like kind of tired of it really fast. Like more than like if I'm playing in person, I feel like I can play for like 8 hours, no problem. But as soon as I like am working the camera and like doing all this work at my desk, and I'm also like not face to face with somebody, and like I'm done after like 2 games maybe.
So I don't have any room anymore. Like my desk is like that got me that much space.
Yeah, so it's just not our favorite way to play. But we talked a lot about the deck, and I will say like I don't know if we optimized the 60. I think there's definitely room to play. It was kind of just like, okay, here's what we know it's good, and we're like, this is functional enough, and into these matchups where Garbodor like pretty much auto wins you the game anyways, like it doesn't matter. So we're excited to keep working on the deck and see, especially now as the meta is developing with these new cards, kind of see what those flex spots are. But it was honestly a really fun deck to play. It kind of struggles in the same ways that Psychic has always struggled with slower starts. And we were like, okay, we win. We feel like we win a lot of matchups except for like fast, hot starting aggro decks, and that ended up being like exactly what we all lost to throughout the day. So, like it was what we expected, really, and so we can't like complain too much.
Yeah, you got to mainly kind of draw dead, and then that Frillish kind of puts them in the ground for a little bit.
Yeah, Frillish is goated. I'll say that. Like that card is crazy.
It's hilarious that you say that, because I remember there was right afterwards there was like a ton of discussion about whether Frillish was like worth it or not and all of this stuff. But I just remember like turning on the stream and watching Jesse Park just like turn after turn just be like Frillish. I mean, it just seemed really good. And so like that's a card definitely I underrated. And so going back and being like, I better get that full art, like that was right on my TCG player order.
Yeah, that definitely like I was in there defending Frillis right away. I was probably more heated than I needed to be, but I was like, this card is so good. Anyone saying this card is not good, like you did not just watch the 8 rounds we all just played, and all of us are saying how good it is. Like any card, it has good scenarios and bad scenarios, of course. But yeah, I think I was really happy to have it included. But yeah, we were thinking like, yeah, it's like fast aggro dragon when they get a good start, fighting, if we get a really poor start, and like any spread deck probably like cooks us. And like the fighting deck that won is like has like all those elements, and so we couldn't have predicted that, and so it's funny that the deck we kicked up and the deck the Blazers cooked up were just at opposite ends, kind of like that. So it was really fun tournament. Yeah, and I'm happy with how it went. I'm bummed at getting those 2 losses. I ended at 5-2. I lost to DeAndre and Trevor, who both got top 8. And yeah, so really close. 5-2 at the last one as well. Hopefully we'll get there on the next one.
Hey, congrats on your run, though. Congrats on your run.
Yeah.
Like during, because I was doing some studying during the weekend on it and just kind of rewatching everything, and my wife said something along the lines of she heard something about a deck, and I was like, she said, I need a new deck. And I was like, what? She said, I need a new deck. The one you made me is terrible. It keeps on getting beat. I keep getting beat by it. And I was like, well, you just don't know how to play it. She's like, no, I need a new deck. So I was like, here, we'll build this psychic deck that's on the screen right now. It seems pretty good for you.
Let's go.
But speaking of like this style of deck, basic stage 1s, kind of lower to the ground, do you guys kind of see the meta in a way like moving towards a lower to the ground type of meta instead of slower build up? You kind of see the lower ground, big basics, stage 1s kind of starting to rise up as the stage 2s kind of go down. That's kind of what I've been noticing on my gym leader challenge.
I will say that I don't think Gallade is done. Not at all. Like I think Gallade is still one of the most broken cards, especially with the curly, of course, like the whole line completely viable still. And we were debating on whether or not to even add it into our garb list somehow. So I don't necessarily like when the Mega Evolution come out. I think fighting getting a big boost obviously is a sign of like this basic focus deck being really good, which it is, and we're going to continue to get really good basic attackers. If they continue to not power creep the stage 2s, I think, and they continue to power creep the basics, I think we could very well see even more evolution focus decks fall off even harder. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I think there's still room for evolving in decks like Psychic and Water, of course. Hydro Pump is still extremely powerful, and Whale Lord is the biggest guy on the field, of course, so you gotta evolve to power him up. And yeah, Psychic likes its evolutions. I did enjoy playing a non-stage 2 build. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It just depends on what cards they print. To be honest, I do think it makes it harder for all these other types that are kind of maybe being left in the dust a little bit by Water, Psychic, Fighting, and Dragon. Yeah. Those are kind of controlling the meta right now, and Psychic just has so many options to deal with fast decks. In its evolved abilities, with ability lock and extra draw power and energy acceleration, those are just really strong abilities that unfortunately some of the lower tier types just don't have the same access to. So hopefully they get more basic buffs. Like if Dark gets a lot more really powerful basic Pokemon attackers in the next few sets, I think that could shake things up. We're still using the same old basic attackers in Dark. We're still using Guzzlord, Hoopa, Spiritomb. Like these guys have been out like since the beginning of GLC. Where's Dark's Okie Dokie? Like
right.
So yeah, I would like to see them start printing stage 2s at 200 HP. I'll say that.
That'd be nice. And to be fair, like Forest of Vitality is obviously like if you're looking at where the GLC meta is right now, like Forest of Vitality is the card that you want TPCI to be printing, right? A card that definitely encourages people to play evolutions. I was playing a game with my grass deck the other day. Meganium gets knocked back. I just go Lana's Aid, grab the Stadium. It's back in the same turn. Like it doesn't feel as bad. It's kind of a basic in that situation. Sure, it required 5 cards to happen, but you know what? It did. So, I'm hoping that that's where we push through because I love evolving decks. But man, still, I think the best thing you can be doing in the format is obviously playing, Okie Dokie on turn 2, Fan Rotom on turn 1. So these basics that not only are like, great attackers, but have good abilities attached to them too. They are just dominating the format, and it makes me sad. I like to evolve, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll push through.
Yeah. And not evolving just like gives you so much extra room to play more broken item cards and supporters. And so that is definitely a big advantage that shouldn't be overlooked as well.
Yes, it just makes it so much more simpler. You don't have to search out as much at all. You don't have to worry about prizing.
But the evolutions, guys. I just want to play Meganium and Crobat. That's all I want.
They just need to boost all the stage 1s and stage 2s HP by like 20 to 40 HP. Like, why are we giving stage 2s the same HP as Okie Dokie and Ursaluna? Like, I know those are big basic Pokemon, but come on, like, I don't understand. Like, the thought, like, there's no consistency. It's kind of just, they want the basics to go fast, and they don't care as much about the stage 2s. So,
yeah, the gargantuan baby Pokemon.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and hit that top 8. Top 8 at Full Grip Games over this weekend. We got Chris Hill Fighting deck, Noah Zoldak with the Psychic Togekiss deck, Luna Dunham with the Grass Lock, Brooke English with Psychic, DeAndre Radcliffe with Colorless, Ayana Mazeska, Psychic. Did I say that right, Jeff?
Sure.
I don't know.
Apologies if we mispronounced it.
I know. Hey, I went to speech class back in the day, so if I do mispronounce stuff, that's why. Jesse Parker with Psychic Garbodor, one of the decks we were talking about earlier as well, and Trevor Redding with Water Hydro Pump. And we're going to go ahead and get straight into these lists, and some of them we have already kind of talked about. And this is one of them right here. We have the wonderful, wonderful Psychic deck that you guys you guys got a masterclass earlier about all of this from Ben himself.
Yeah, it was a really fun deck to play, like I said. Focuses a lot on disruption and just locking your opponent out of their options with Frillish and Wobbuffet early, and Garbodor, of course, at the end. One of the strongest things you can do is ability lock and set them to 4 cards with Judge. It's hard for a lot of ability focused decks to deal with that if they don't have the cards like immediately in hand to respond. And so I think as a known deck, it's definitely something that can be more built around. If this deck does get more popular, a lot of ability decks I think will want to run multiple tool removal cards. Just so like if Water decided to run, we were joking, like if Water just ran 3 tool removal cards, they probably just destroy us. But like no one's actually doing that right now, and I don't know if this deck will be popular enough to even require that, but that was just a funny thing. It was like, maybe we should just play Water with 3 ability or 3 tool removal. Tool removals, we were playing 5 tools in this deck, so we were always seeing them. And Shopping Center gives you a ton of flexibility as well. Like there's turns where I might have to research away my Lux Cape early, so I'll just toss it on a benched Pokemon, and with Shopping Center in play, I can pick it back up and save it for later. So there's a lot of unique interactions with the Shopping Center. And then since your opponent wants to use their usually one tool removal, like as soon as Garbodor is active with a tool, they're targeting like maybe the air balloon or the float stone you put on early. So it gives this longevity to your Fury Belt and to your Lux Cape. You can kind of hold on to those until the second half of the game and know that there's kind of no way for your opponent to deal with them. And then the same goes with your stadiums. Since they're using their Field Blower on the tool on Garbodor, and you play these 3 stadiums and Lusamine, we found that basically outside of like them countering the stadium maybe once, the stadium we wanted in play would stay in play. So Shopping Center was getting use so much more than we ever expected. Like once we started playing with it and testing, and then at the tournament as well, because once you got it into play, like halfway through the game, like your opponent was kind of out of resources to discard it or to deal with it, and they're getting hand disrupted and their abilities are locked. So we would go like 4 or 5 turns at the end of the game, being able to pick up our tool off of Garbodor, which if you don't know, that's what Shopping Center does. When it's in play, you can pick up one tool on your turn. And since Garbodor shuts off your own abilities with a tool attached, you pick up the tool off Garbodor. Now your Xatu and Malamar are active. You can use them to accelerate energy in play, and then you can plop that tool right back down on Garbodor and then attack into your opponent. So doing that, turn after turn with your opponent, I've already used their Field Blower. It was tough to watch a lot of those games. felt a little bad for some of my opponents, but felt really strong into those high meta decks of Psychic and Water. And like I said, a little more difficult to deal with the faster aggressive decks that rely a lot less on abilities.
Yeah, I remember watching Jesse play like his top 4 match against the other Psychic deck on stream and just being like, I don't think that other Psychic deck has a chance. Like it was just like item lock, plus I have Garbodor abilities active. The other deck just was like really struggling to piece anything together. Like thank goodness for Iron Boulder, right? Because like Iron Boulder, when you're playing in the Psychic Mirror, becomes like another mini game within the mini game. Not only are you like, okay, I need to match hands with my opponent, but like I need to also like match hands and then take a prize to make it more difficult for them to like also do this. So it was kind of funny to watch that game kind of unfold, but man, it did not look like Jesse's opponent was having a fun time in those matchups. Just this deck was just beating it down, like you said. Now, was it true that Jesse just texted you guys like the night before and was like, what deck should I play? And you guys just threw this one at him?
Yeah, he texted Andrew the night before. I didn't even know he gave it to Jesse. And then at the standard tournament, Jesse like came up to me and he was like, yo, I'm playing the Garbodor. And I was like, I didn't even know that you knew about the Garbodor. I was like, all right, cool. That'll be fun. Yeah, we had a lot of it we kind of spread it around more locally. Like at the last event, we were more split, but at this event, we just really liked the deck and we wanted people to have a chance to try it into the field. So there's like 7 of us playing it. So a good number, and only Jesse managed to get top 8. I was right off the edge, unfortunately, and I think a couple of my friends are like a Carpenter and our other friend Tony lost to like Eggmill. They both lost to Eggmill, I think, back to back. Holtz, I think all 3 of them lost to Eggmill, maybe. Holtz's game against Eggmill was on stream, and I heard he like got donked like by turn 3 with a Torterra or something. So not even like that good of a game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I honestly don't know how the deck does in like into Eggmill if they like play like a full game. Because I didn't play against any Eggmill. I didn't play against the winning fighting deck. So I'm interested to play those out more and test the deck. But yeah, it was a really fun deck to play. And if you're struggling against Water or Psychic in your locals, I would recommend picking this up. I think of my 5 wins. Well, let me go through my rounds real quick. So like round 1, I played against Water. They did not take a single prize that game. They had to burn their field blower. They had to use Irida for their field blower while also grabbing Octillery to like draw 3 cards to hopefully power up a Pokemon, and then they whiffed off those 3 cards to power up anybody. And I just like, it was my U-turn board that got field blowered. So when they passed back to me, I just like put the U-turn board back down. And at that point, the game was pretty much over because they had used their field blower. Abilities were going to be locked the whole rest of the game. And I was already swinging over and over with my Necrozma. So those games, like if your opponent's not ready for it, it can just go like that. So I did that into Water. My round 2 was against DeAndre's Colorless, and I had a very poor start, and he had like an extremely hot start. So I ended up losing in round 2 to DeAndre, who got top 4. I played against a Dusknor Monkey Dory Psychic deck. They took 1 prize that game. They powered up Monkey Dory and Dusknor, like they got them all into play, and were never able to use either ability. They evolved into Gallade also. They were never able to use Gallade's ability. And I was just hand disrupting and taking knockouts, and that was like another tough watch on their side of the board. Hit another Water deck, I think I hit 2 Psychic decks back to back, and it was like more of the same story. Maybe they took a couple more knockouts with their Iron Boulder. I hit a Fighting deck that was a little different. I played Hisui and Arcanine, and I think Colossal. And this was our 3-in-1 match. And they took 1 prize with Soul Rock early, but without their Colossal to power up anybody, being ability locked, they kind of just fell apart from there. And I was like targeting down. I had Guzmud like 2 or 3 times probably. They're slowly powering up energy onto their Arcanine. I played against Trevor Redding at the 4-in-1, and unfortunately, like I had a really strong start against Trevor. And he unfortunately, like he made some really good plays, and I think I definitely went down routes that ended up not paying off. Like he was able to slowly power up a Lapras and gust kill my Garbodor, and I immediately reestablished Trubbish and put Garbodor back in the deck, hoping to like kind of get it back into play quickly, and I was just never able to draw into my Garbodor again, unfortunately. And he was like, he had a really weak board, but without my Garbodor, he was able to like top deck a Nessa and like reestablish like multiple attackers. And it was a really good game. It got down to 1-to-1 prizes, and there was a turn I was like whiffing energies to like, there's one turn he like copycat, or I could have copycatted his Kyogre, right? To snipe his Frostmoth, which was his only energy accelerator on the board. And he made a really smart play. So this was when Trubbish was down again, and my Mimikyu was already fully powered up, and he opted to target my Mimikyu instead of he was like, I'm going to target the Mimikyu. If I had found Garbodor or found this extra energy to repower up my Copycatter, then it probably would have been lights out for him, but I found neither, so I whiffed the Copycat and I didn't find Garbodor. And it was just a little rough kind of trading back and forth from there. So like really heads up play from Trevor to like target the Mimikyu and like play to those what I would say, like he was playing to win that game rather than to like not lose, you know, like the not lose position. He's like, and if I was in his position, I don't know if I would have made the same play. I probably would have been scared of the Garbodor, despite, you know, Mimikyu being powered up already, you know, and just being like, I can't afford to get this Garbodor back in play because then I would lose, right? But he recognized that if I attack with the Mimikyu, like he probably can't win anyways, even with his abilities. So I was expecting him to hit the Trubbish, and he hit the Mimikyu, and then it paid off for him. So really, he's top 8'd the last like 4 or 5 events. So he's like incredible. It was my favorite match of the day because it was the closest match that I played that day. I'm talking about all these other matches where my opponents took 1 prize only. I think all my wins, my opponents took like 1 or 2 prizes maybe. So it just shows the power of the lock with Garbodor and a big basic attacker like Boulder or Necrozma. So yeah, the deck was running good, and I enjoyed playing it. So
yeah, nice. I will say you were like, oh yeah, my games were fun, but my opponents didn't do anything. You were smiling the entire time. You're like, I feel bad about what happened. Then you're just there and like, I'm so happy. Like, I don't know if you feel any remorse there.
Well, I definitely did not, because at these bigger tournaments, that's what we were hoping would happen. Of course, it was fun for me to see like the decision we made in this deck to really pay off so strongly in a lot of these matchups. Like I don't know if in like the past 3Ks that I've attended and played in, it's not often you're winning multiple games like 5-0 or like your opponent took 6-1 prizes. So it's kind of crazy at how good the deck can be, into like how instantly it can win you the game, kind of. So
yeah,
in that sense, like it's extremely powerful, and I felt that, but I also like would hate to have been my opponent,
for sure.
So it was yeah, I was just gonna say it was fun to be justified, I guess, in that kind of way. And like I said, the most fun match against Trevor, a really experienced player who, wasn't expecting Garbodor, of course, but definitely like just was smart enough to like play the game extremely well, which is what Garbodor asks of these decks. It really requires your opponent to have like just a really heads up knowledge of their board state and their resources, and really take advantage of those turns where you can kind of sneak your abilities out, or he definitely took advantage of I was just lacking like backup attackers, really. So like it was nice. That's why he kind of targeted my Mimikyu, I think. Like my board was it was like Garbodor, it was like Trubbish, Xatu, Malamar, and like Inkay from earlier in the game were like 4 of my bench slots, right? So I was kind of stuck in terms of like how many attackers I could have powered up. And Trevor was able to definitely take advantage of that. So I think it's a really fun deck. It's fun to play against. Like I played in testing this deck, we were just playing Psychic into this like a ton. And there is play there, like there is play with the normal Gallade build into this. Almost like a semi control, Garbodor is just locking you out of the game, kind of. It's like semi control, but we're just attacking. We're not playing control cards outside of Garbodor. We're just trying to shut your abilities off. We're trying to be aggressive while also like just making it a little bit harder for you. Yeah, so it's kind of a fun deck to play against, in my opinion. If you're maybe if you hate pain a little bit, I don't know, or if you like the pain a little bit.
If you're a masochist.
Yeah, exactly.
What I was going to say earlier was #no remorse.
It's good. It's a good one.
Man, my name is so punnable.
It is. Yeah, I would like to get some #no remorses in the comments, and some likes if you like Ben.
That's right.
Dude, I just keep thinking, like, the more I hear you talk about this list, Ben, the more I see, like, the gameplay on the stream and stuff like that. Just like how smart of a decision it was to play Garbodor in this matchup, because like no one's really expecting ability lock outside of Wobbuffet in, like, at least in most of the common decks that are being played. Dark has fallen off, and like the best ability locker in the format has been Galarian Wheezing, you know, and so Dark's not going to be part of this process anymore just because fighting's so good. So like, you know, and people are playing tech specifically for Wobbuffet. You know, we saw Trevor playing, you know, like Silent Lab, like I'm going to shut off your abilities, but I get to keep all my evolution abilities for my water deck. It'll be fine. So just like bring in the Garbodor to bring that pain was just such a heads up move from all you guys. So I really respect this list a lot. Again, I think it would wreck 90% of the decks that I'm playing. I think I'd have a little bit of fun playing against it for sure. But I just love this list. I love the shopping center include. I'm wondering if you guys saw Bursting Balloon. I know you said that Mahone thought that shopping center was a little cute. Bursting Balloon is a little cute, but I'm wondering if that had any real consideration in your minds before pushing out the list for the tournament.
Yeah, we definitely Bursting Balloon was definitely mentioned. We figured that shopping, you know, we were finding that shopping center was, like I said, sticking in play longer than we ever thought it would in the mid to late game. And so we also figured, you know, once you get to this mid to late, like one of the problems without having Gallade is and you're like shuffling your hand. All of our draw supporters reset your hand, right? So like Research and Iono, Judge, Lilies, like they're all new hands for you, right? So every time you're playing one of these, you're like, hopefully you're like rolling the dice that you're gonna like find another supporter, and that's that can be a struggle with Garbodor, both like before we added Malamar Zatu and with this. So you have to be prepared to like play off the board. And one thing we definitely did not want to happen is to ever have a situation where we like you said, we can turn our abilities back on with the Bursting Balloon, but to then whiff relocking abilities is just too great a risk in our opinion. So with those, and even before shopping center, Andrew's core idea was like you only need like maybe 1 or 2 good turns when they counter Garbodor to use your abilities. And so that's kind of true here. You're just even more flexible with it with the shopping center. So I don't think Bursting Balloon is necessary. It definitely was discussed. But I just think this lineup of tools is a little stronger, and shopping center just does a lot more work than you would think.
Well, I'm excited to try it out.
Yeah, I like shopping center. I believe I played shopping center in like this, not an old standard deck, but it was like a Pachirisu Honchkrow V deck where the more tools you had on there, your Pachirisu would just hit like really hard. So I remember having like shopping center so I can save energies from whatever I had on, and I could reattach on other things. And I enjoy shopping center. It's a good card.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's a pretty funny card. Every time, you know, everyone's picking it up to read it because you're like, let me clarify that this is doing what I think it does. And yeah, it's like, yeah, so many of my opponents were like, oh, that's, as they're watching me just like pick up, use my abilities, take KO, and they just have to draw pass again. It's like, they're just like, dang, this is crazy. So yeah, I do think, you know, the deck, like I said, the deck has some glaring weaknesses that we were fine to give up. You know, we did not play a bench barrier, and I had said I don't think anyone's playing Hitmon Bros, but if they are, we probably get wrecked by it. And I didn't see any Hitmon Bros, thankfully, but the deck that Chris Hill Ghouls ended up winning with was even better than Hitmon Bros. So
yeah, congratulations, Jesse, on your second place finish. A really valiant effort on that.
And a good segue into Chris's deck now.
Oh, yeah, and Chris's deck. Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing fighting take off, you know, with the addition of the rocks, Lunatune and Soul Rock, being able to give you what everybody's been asking for a long time, all that draw power and giving you the ability to kind of get into your deck a little bit more. And that's exactly what fighting needed. We didn't really know that we needed the Marshadow. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. The Marshadow is really good in a pinch. And apparently on stream-wise, Marshadow was the thing. But I guess whenever it's not on stream, it's not necessarily the thing. But that also just shows you the power of like what Marshadow is capable of. I thought Marshadow was going to be a good card. I didn't have it on our last set review video for some odd reason, but it's a really good card. Invincibility is really good. And when not putting that, I was kind of thinking of that Terrakion. I think there's a Terrakion that kind of has an invincibility thing, but I forget the stipulation behind that.
You can't attack the next turn, but it gets vulnerability.
Yeah. But Marshadow, you can just kind of turn after turn, just hit until, you're gusted out of the way, which we really didn't see any of that happening per se too much on stream. But very quickly, Ting Lu or Ting Lewis, aka Ting Lewis, can just get in there and start hitting really easily. This is currently in my fighting deck. I got like a Hitmon Bros fighting deck with Ting Lu, and I really enjoy being able to get Ting Lu out very quickly, spread some damage. That makes the entire game that much easier, kind of spreading this damage, peppering it out, making sure that you're just kind of weakening all your opponent's Pokemon, especially if you have Silent Lab out, you have Hex Maniac out to kind of cancel their abilities that protect you. But I really enjoyed seeing this specific style because this is one of my favorite styles. I just haven't played it in a long time because it kind of wasn't doing super well. But now we got the rocks, and the rocks are performing way better than I could have ever imagined myself. So I'm excited to see this, and you guys got to see it in action, and it did do some work. Now, I will say some of those stream games, I was like, man, why is Chris's opponents kind of having some slow starts? Like they're not able to get some of their stuff out. And I was like, what is going on? Chris is just drawing stones, and his opponents are like drawing coal, man. And I was like, golly, this is also not so much. Not to like take anything, because Chris went 7-0-2 the entire tournament. So there had to have been some type of fighting, but on those streams, it just seemed like some of the opponents just weren't able to get that threshold that they could have gotten just because, luck of the draw and all that,
I mean, yeah. Like Ting Lu, like forces some pretty tough decisions, right? I think we saw
It does, definitely.
Jesse had Cleffa in his hand, right? And I think of his first couple turns, things were just looking bad, right? And he needed to get some more cards in his hand. There's no way you can bench a Cleffa into Ting Lu, right? I think eventually at some point he has to commit it, which again probably led to problems down the road. But man, Ting Lu is an oppressive early attacker, especially for decks reliant on setup. And I think that's probably why we saw a lot of Chris's opponents have some difficulty. I mean, obviously luck is a thing, but that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, he had some big main character energy for sure, but the deck is really scary. And yeah, Ting Lu, pretty much all these attackers like Solrock, early Okie Dokie, early Ting Lu, early Marshadow. These are all four extremely different scenarios that are they're each very strong in their own way that your opponent like almost has to have a response to, and they're all different, right? So like at the beginning of the game, it's like, okay, is my opponent going to go the Ting Lu route, or are they going to go the Okie Dokie route? And depending on which they go, like can really determine which way you should go. So yeah, it's one of those decks that, I've heard Spence always is like with Raging Bull, he's like, you're going to throw him up there and ask questions, and your opponent's got to have an answer. And I feel like this is that energy. It's like, I'm going to throw out these extremely powerful basics and ask you questions. And if you're not prepared, you're going to get kind of swapped or like just slapped around a little bit. And yeah, Jesse had a couple poor starts there in the finals, and even Chris did in one of those games with the just Marshadow active, but just had the clutch like Guzma and then the Iono and stuff to keep him in the game and carry him from there. So yeah, props
we
to.
We even saw the Ting Lu get that hammer in attack, a couple times, and you don't use Ting Lu for that hammer in attack at all. You're like never doing that, but even Chris had to use that hammer in attack, which is kind of funny.
And the Ting Lu damage just adds up so fast, especially with the the Halucha paired with it. Taking out those low 70 HP basics is like extremely easy while also just softening you up for Marshadow and Ursaluna. So just the synergy between all the pieces here is just like really cool to see. Something that was not on anybody's radar was this combo of cards, and with all the damage buffs, with the new Fighting Gong and the Powerade, it's just this deck is throwing out just big numbers with high HP basics that you better not miss a step.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and like just like the deck is just so cool. And you mentioned like the new fighting tools and like the way that Marshadow was used in this deck. Like, now you're attaching strong energy to Marshadow, buffing that attack to 80. You've got the muscle band potentially to 100, and now you've got the new Powerade, whatever that card is that increases damage by 30.
Muscle milk.
Yeah, muscle milk. This Marshadow is just doing like could potentially do so much more damage. And then you pair any of those cards with Ting Lu or with Okidogi itself, and all of a sudden it's like this high damage output so huge, and you're like, man, what's probably a hard matchup for this deck? Whale Lord Water. And you're like, well, hey, just soften it up with Ting Lu. All of a sudden Ursaluna's hitting big numbers. You can make Okidogi hit some bigger numbers too. And it just seems like this deck was designed for someone who had spent just a ton of time testing to just step into a meta that was unprepared for it and just do extremely well with their large card pool and knowledge of the format. And I think that's what Chris did, and I'm really, really hyped for this list. I think it's really, really, really good. Could this list, now that it's known, repeat? I'm not so sure, because I think now people are maybe like aware of the Marshadow, just save your gust, but again, it's hard to prepare for like what Ben was saying, put up your big dudes attacking it on turn 1 or 2, do you have the answer? And that might be where a list like this has longevity.
That's right. Yeah. And the Marshadow is something you go for when the opportunity presents itself to you. And he was kind of forced to use it in those finals matches, but like Josh mentioned earlier, he's gone on record in the chat afterwards saying he like didn't use it at all up until top 4, just because the opportunity didn't present itself. But yeah, I think it definitely, like, our Garbodor deck didn't play Escape Rope or things to get around it, so like we had almost no option to, if it did take a knockout. So I would definitely consider putting Escape Rope in my deck at the very least.
What about Bench Barrier?
Bench Barrier, yeah, that was like my personal 61st card was Bench Barrier in general, just because honestly I was mostly worried about, like, I didn't really think Fighting Spread would be a huge thing, like definitely not Ting Lu. Like maybe some people were playing Hitmonbros, and I was like, okay, like I just like won't hit that matchup, but I really wanted a Bench Barrier for like Raging Bolt specifically, and then like the best thing Water could do into the Garbodor is to like shut off your abilities for a turn and KO your Garbodor, right? So if they Field Blower the Garbodor, yeah, the idea is like when Garbodor is shutting off abilities, your Bench Barrier is shut off anyways, right? But if you have them both in play and they have to Field Blower your Garbodor to power up their Kyogre, now your Bench Barrier is back on. So if you just have them both in play against Water, I was like, I don't know how you lose, because then your Garbodor is going to live. So those are like the main 2 reasons why I wanted my Garbodor or my Bench Barrier, and it would have helped a lot in that matchup against Trevor for sure, because Kyogre was doing work. But yeah, especially with this Ting Lu list, like I said, there's some decks where you don't even really want to go for Garbodor. I would say that this is one of them. Like you really just want to prioritize like powering up your attackers as quick as possible to deal with their attackers. And I think if you have a decent start, and you can attack with Boulder or something on turn 2 for a knockout, and you're Ionoing them or Marnieing them and judging them every turn, like I don't think the matchup is unwinnable. And so, having a Bench Barrier to help alleviate the pressure that Ting Lu puts on your lower HP guys like Xatu and Inkay and things like that would be helpful.
Yeah. Ting Lu, notably, can't get past bench barrier because it discards Psychic Lab before it puts damage on. So, like...
That's not correct. It
what?
Puts damage on, then discards the stadium.
Oh, see, I've always been told you have to resolve the effects of attacks first, and the effect is discarding the stadium before you put damage on the bench. That's what I've been told by multiple judges. But again, if I'm wrong, that's better.
Because it does, like, Ting Lu does not work for Lost Zone because you will put damage on, then discard the stadium, and then check for KOs. So for Silent Lab, the Silent Lab's in play for the damage section, but for Lost Zone, the Lost City is not in play for the knockout check.
Okay, all right.
That's my understanding.
I'll have to talk to a judge.
Maybe we should double check with the judge. Check with your judge before you quote me on that.
Judge, let us know down in the comments.
But I'm pretty sure that's why that they play Silent Lab at all, is because it gets through bench barrier. So there's not really a reason. There's not really a reason for Ting Lu to play Silent Lab except to get through bench barrier, because Silent Lab is not good for you. Okay. It's not good for your Okidogi, Ursaluna, or Halucha.
I don't know. I've played in multiple events where I was told that Silent Lab did not work with Ting Lu because of the way the ability resolves. So when I saw Silent Lab in this list, I was like, are they just planning to maybe get an opposing Okidogi or something like that? So I was curious about that, but no, that's what I was told. So interesting note. We'll look it up, and maybe on the next pod episode we'll have an answer about Silent Lab and Ting Lu.
I'm sure someone check the comments. I'm sure someone will comment right away and say,
yeah. I'll be the top breaker, but I think that I have also used it in the sense of damage, stadium, then it goes.
Okay.
Oh, our faces. Where'd our faces go?
Oh no, my bad. I immediately went to Google and was like, I gotta look it up.
Yeah, I don't see a reason for them to play the Silent Lab except for it to get around bench barrier. So I'm 90% sure that's why it's there.
Somebody will tell us. But yeah, good job, Chris, on your win. Awesome to see it. I think everybody was pretty happy that Fighting won. Because Fighting hasn't able to be a guy. You're like, no, I wasn't really happy about it.
Yeah, I was kidding.
It was two really awesome decks in the finals. It was really cool to see. I remember hearing about the Psychic deck at the beginning of the 10-hour stream. So I put it in my notes. New Psychic deck ? And whatnot. I was like, oh, pretty cool. And then I'm like, okay, Fighting is going to do well. And it was kind of cool to see that Psychic and Fighting kind of go hand in hand and go first and second. I don't think Psychic's been in the top in a while, really, in top 8 or something like that, or hasn't been in the finals. And
it's been in the top 8. It's been in the top 8 a couple of times, but it has not been in the finals, I think, since the second large event that they've ever held.
A long time. And then Fighting hasn't been in it ever, I don't think.
No. First top 8 appearance and first finals. First win.
So it went from 0 to hero real quick with the addition of Lunatone, Solrock, and even Marshadow, showing out for those stream matches. So good job, Chris, on your win. It was an awesome stream matches. I think we got to see 2 or 3 stream matches from Chris. Something like that. And I was like, golly, getting a lot of screen time.
I have an answer, by the way. I have an answer about that.
Okay.
Thank goodness for pending. Ben was right. So whichever, I don't feel so bad. It was a judge who told me. So I want to make sure we give the correct stuff. But hey, this situation on the compendium is Ting Lu attacks with Crown Crusher. There's a jamming tower in play, and Cleffa has a bravery charm. So the Cleffa would survive, but damage would be done. The KO check doesn't happen until after all that stuff, just like Ben just mentioned. But the damage is done first, then jamming tower is discarded. So that is the word on the compendium. So
that worked. Very nice. Very nice. On to, was it third place?
Third place.
Yeah, we got DeAndre Ratcliffe with the colorless deck. I believe this is, I don't think I've seen anything like jumping out at me from the last time I've seen a colorless list. Maybe Battle Compressor is something different that I don't really see in colorless. Maybe you're trying to use that to get the fire energy into the discard so you can then is there a Mela in this list? Yeah, there's a Mela in this list.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, tell us about it.
It's got the transformative start Ditto, the one that only on your first turn, if it's active, you can search your deck for a different basic Pokemon to take its place. So that's not in every psychic deck, every colorless deck, but I think the big thing here is that there is no Bibarel. No Bibarel in DeAndre's list.
That is big. Yeah, I didn't even check for Bibarel because I just assumed that it's in there.
Yeah, it's just got Skwovet, Oranguru, and then it's got the stage ones in Cinccino and Dodrio. So opting not to use Bibarel. Carpenter, through the grapevine, told me that he heard DeAndre say that he just wasn't a fan of Bibarel being like a gust target that can get stuck easily. So no one outside of his attackers and, Oranguru having the 2 retreat cost. Bibarel is definitely the weakest of any colorless Pokemon to get stuck in the active because its attack is so useless.
What do you mean? It's great. 3 energy for 100 on a coin flip. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, so good, right? But yeah, so those were the main differences in DeAndre's list compared to most colorless lists you'd see. He also opted to play Lost City, which is in and out of people's colorless decks, and like Jeff mentioned, I don't remember if it was before the pod or during. There's only a handful of actual attackers in the deck, so it might be a little risky to get your Cramorant or your Snorlax Lost Zone because kind of relying on those guys to come back. But I think it worked out for him. I heard that in his top 8 match against Brooke, he ended up Lost Zoning like 3 or 4 of her attackers, and she just like had nothing left to give. So yeah, pretty interesting list from DeAndre, and like we said, colorless kind of fell way down in playability, or was it similar to the last one? I don't remember.
I think it was pretty similar to the last one.
Either way, I was expecting it to fall off even harder because of the rise in fighting, right? Your weakness matchup. So DeAndre in this field where fighting was the second most played deck managed to work his way to a top 4 finish. And I don't know I know he lost to Ghouls in top 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that was the fighting matchup. And I believe he had a loss in Swiss that was also to a fighting deck. So those did end up coming back to bite him. But really strong showing from DeAndre to pilot that turbo colorless list. Again, just showing that sometimes going fast and hitting hard early is all you need to carry you through some tournaments. Really high consistency draw engine, of course, with the Skwovet and the Oranguru. Fan Rotom's consistency still unparalleled. In my match specifically, also this is really interesting to note, is DeAndre was choosing to go first, which if you had asked me what's the number one thing I would say to a new GLC player, like just across the board, would be to choose to go second. So I sat down across from DeAndre in round 2, and he won the coin flip, and I was like, wow, dang it. And then he's like, I will go first. And I was like, okay. I was like, sure, I'll let you go first. And he proceeds to start with Phantom Transformation Ditto in the active, Battle VIP Pass in hand, transforms into Snorlax, sets up all his support Pokemon on board with Fan Rotom, and attaches double colorless energy or double turbo energy to his active Snorlax. Going first, turn 1, with colorless, and I was like, how did you just have like every single good going first card? Like I was like, I still don't think I still wouldn't say going first should be what you do, but that was just insane. And I was like, he kind of ran over. I had also like not played it. I didn't ended up not playing a supporter for like 4 turns. So his extremely hot start going first on top of my lackluster start, he kind of just ran over me, unfortunately. But yeah, choosing to go first. He plays the Carmine also, which is a supporter you can use going first. Yeah. Like I said, I still don't know if that's correct. It worked out for him. It worked out for him.
I mean,
I guess I cut them into the like actual
that's
nut.
how it
Yeah.
happened.
It's just crazy because like had I cut it anywhere else, like what was his game? Like I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like you're just putting yourself at such a risk to whiff when you go first. It's like if you have to play your Arvin to search out your fan rotom turn 1, like if that's what you have to do and you're putting yourself in a position where that's not an option for you, especially in a deck where fan rotom can take knockouts on the turn 1 going second. Just pretty interesting in my opinion for him to choose to go first, but I mean, I guess I can't judge. He proved me wrong. He beat me. He got to top 4. So if you play this deck, maybe choose to go first and see how it fares for you.
Yeah. Do you think DeAndre at all during this tournament felt like, man, maybe I should have put a Dunsparce, the one with the mysterious net, kind of save you from weakness? Did DeAndre ever mention anything like that at all?
I personally did not talk to him after I lost to him, so I didn't hear him specifically say that. I do think, throwing in the Dunsparce, especially with Marshadow, I think that's one of fighting's own like best bets into Marshadow is to play the Dunsparce. So I don't hate Dunsparce because you can also play the Dunsparce. So it's another in non-fighting matchups, it's another, draw support Pokemon. And I think fighting will only see more popularity, especially after this win and this really unique deck that ended up winning. So if you really are a diehard colorless player, I think it would not hurt to toss in that Dunsparce.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, my only thing to say about this list is that, back when Turbo Colorless, after the banning of, the Fossil Lab, people were trying to get their hands around what colorless looked like. And I remember Phoenix Fire, he was kind of known as the architect of the Turbo Colorless build, was like really against Barrel for the longest time. So to see like that kind of like, envisioned on our screen right now is kind of cool to see.
It's way back.
Yeah. So like, was Dodrio enough? Was that one extra card? The return of Make Deuce and Chino, like, how many cards did that draw over the course of the game? I mean, because when you look at it, like after the first couple turns, there are a lot of dead cards in this deck, which is probably one of the reasons to include, Battle Compressor. Are you going to be discarding Battle VIB Pass and Adventure Bag after you searched out all your tools, So I really like the inclusion of Cinchino. The stadium choices were like, again, Lost City, Ben mentioned kind of what I said at the start, and Town Store is another kind of interesting inclusion too, to grab a tool out of your deck, especially when I don't see Turbo Energize anywhere in the list either. I was wondering if like, something like Parallel into like a water heavy meta would be something that colorless people would like to see, but obviously just punching fast with fan rotoms and, turn to, unfazed fat Snorlax is like, obviously the game plan here. So kudos to DeAndre, and they're all thoughts I have, but obviously he got third place, so don't listen to me, listen to him.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I do think Parallel is an insanely powerful card that might be better than Town Store, but I honestly think Town Store is more justifiable because Barrel is not there. So you're like really needing to find the cards to power up your attackers while seeing fewer of them. You're seeing fewer cards without Barrel in play. But you play, a lot of supporters that can find you, the energy in the stadium. And so on those turns where you really need, all you have to do is draw into a Goose Hala or a Chorus Tenacity and off of your 3 from Oranguru and 1 from Dodrio or whatever, to get, the Hops Choice Band. And I think that's like the big one he's relying on. He's doubling down on finding that Hops Choice Band with both Adventure Bag and Town Store. So he's really valuing being able to find the exact combo he needs on a given turn. So yeah. I don't hate the Town Store when you're seeing fewer cards overall.
Yeah, and it definitely makes the Lana's fishing rod much better, right? Like, oh no, Hops Cramorant goes down. Well, now you can Lana's fishing rod. If you happen to have Town Store, you just grab the bands back and you can attach it to Hops Snorlax, or you might have a chance to recover Hops Cramorant as well. And all of a sudden, you can go that 3-4 back-to-back Hops Cramorant attack, which we were all worried about. Which I'd be interested to see if DeAndre actually had that happen a couple times during his day. And then we mentioned the Dunsparce too, like stopping fighting weakness from coming in play. Just play more birds, Kalos people. Just play more birds, right? Hops Cramorant, Dodrio. Just add another bird in the mix. You'll be fine.
We're never going back to Lugia, man. We're never going back. Lugia, that card is so bad. That card is so bad.
Play Archeops.
Especially without...
Play Archeops.
Oh, yeah. Archeops is not terrible. It might be terrible. I don't know. But
Fossils, shoes are back.
Yeah, the town store, the more I think about it, the more I like. Is like as good as Parallel is, in a turbo deck, it's basically just like, I'm gonna go fast. I literally do not care what you're doing over there. I don't care about disrupting you really. I have some disruption in like Reset Stamp and Iono and Hex Maniac for like when I find it, but like mainly I'm focused on just attacking when I need to attack. And Town Store is going to help me attack. Parallel City is not going to help me attack. It might disrupt you a little bit, but yeah, like I want to find the cards to attack. So the more I think about it, like Town Store in the fast, aggressive build has some merits for sure.
Yeah. And choosing to go first also makes a ton of sense for not playing Turbo Energize. Like, if you're not going to do it on your first turn, when are you going to have a chance to Turbo Energize? Might as well just drop it and go first every time. Save yourself the next spot.
That's right. And honestly, something Alex Carpenter always says is like how he's like, I never pull the trigger, but when I'm playing against Psychic with Colorless, sometimes I want to go first just so that my opponent can't go first and like search out Wobbuffet to put into the active, They like have to raw start it. So it's like in such a Psychic heavy meta, maybe like that's another thing DeAndre was thinking is like, I'm going to be playing against a lot of Psychic. I don't want to risk being Wobbuffet locked, like giving them the turn to find Wobbuffet. So I'm just going to go first. I play so many search cards. I play the Carmine. As long as I can have one basic search in my hand, include or start Ditto, he's giving him as many outs as possible to have a good start. So he might be cooking. I don't know. He's much braver. He's much braver than I am.
Could we even think about like going one step further and fitting a Stadium Nav to then search out the Town Store?
Nah, you got Tenacity and Guzmahala. I don't hate it.
Redundancy, so much redundancy.
I could see it. Maybe cut Scoop Up Net.
And you can just battle Compressor it away when it's bad. Perfect. Solved colorless.
Boom, Shikalaka. Yep, congrats again on third place. This right here, we got fourth place, Ayana Mazeska. We have Psychic, and we always enjoy a good Psychic list. This specific list is still playing the Dimensional Door Giratina. We got the Mew. I forget what the ability, but it lets you basically, if you have the same amount of energy that you need, the energy cost, you can use a basic Pokemon on your bench's attack. So you can use it for Iron Boulder to kind of save your Iron Boulder from being attacked. And we got the Mr. Mime for the bench barrier. Other than that, I mean, this is one of those just kind of a more standard Psychic list than what we saw with the new Stage 1 big basic one that we have, coming up out of the woodwork. But I always, and also we got all the TM evolutions, all of them.
All the TMs.
All the TMs. Not just the TM evolutions. All of the TMs.
Black side Grassus Punch, it's there.
Bro, don't at me, okay?
That Mew. That Mew is the memories. No remorse. Yeah, I should use that. I should make shirts or something. The memories of Dawn Mew is one you don't often see in an attacking psychic list like this outside of like Lost Zone is where I usually see it. So pretty cool include just to get like that extra basic attacker, which something that we even want in the Garbodor deck sometimes is like we have all of our good basic attackers already, so we're like digging in what's left, using that Necrozma still is like, should we even use this Necrozma? I don't know. There's not a lot of better options. So Mew allows you to use your good ones again, and I don't hate that. Obviously not compatible with Garbodor, but I don't hate it in this list for sure.
Yeah.
And that Natu with the ancient trait takes 2 prizes when it takes a knockout. So that's the combo there with the blind side and the crisis punch. So
the TM
evolutions. With the TM evolutions allows you to evolve once. Yep. So Iona had a pretty unique deck here. Just iterating on what we already know and love about Psychic and ended up going the distance. 4th place finish. Very, very impressive for Iona. You also got the Lieutenant Surge's strategy in there.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. I put in some work. I love Lieutenant Surge in a Psychic deck.
Yeah. I find like I never really have room for it. So it's crazy to me that I need to like actually dig into what cards are not being played here, because there's like, it feels like there's so many cards that Iona managed to fit in. Like I'm actually impressed. Definitely like a lower energy count. Only 5 basics. No, that's 6. Okay. So not too much lower, but there's like 15 supporters in this deck. So Lieutenant Surge is definitely getting some good use there if you're falling behind and allowing you to pull off cool plays like you can play Lieutenant Surge and Iono your opponent and then Tulip to get your attackers back, and there's some nice flexibility there, of course, being able to search it off Gallade. So impressive run, impressive deck. Just can sneak in at some extra prizes, got a little bit of that surprise factor in there. And she ended Iona ended up losing to
Jesse.
Was it to Jesse in top 4?
Yeah, this was the most brutal game I saw all weekend.
Yeah, that was the item lock to end all item locks. Yep.
That made me be like, man, I need to get that Frillish ASAP, mostly so I can read it and know how to tech against it.
I think I forgot about it because I had to shut my eyes the entire time. Like, oh no,
why are they? No. Someone censor this. But Ben, you mentioned like what cards got cut, and I'm looking and I'm like, where are the setup cards? Like there's no ball guy, because like I was looking at the balls, I was like, that's probably where some of the cuts. There's like no Ultra Ball, there's no Timer Ball, so like there's no ball guy. It's just really relying on like maybe Arvin into Buddy Poffin potentially. I know that the Memory of Dawn's Mew does have some setup attacks going with it. You obviously have Filch from Mimikyu, so you can get the new Collect from Routes that came to the Mega Evolution set. So like there are ways to get around it. Obviously, Psychic has a ton of other items you can play too. But like as far as setup supporters go, I'm just like, like relying a lot on those item cards to get you where you need to get to. And then hopefully a Lily's Determination draw to 8 on the first turn, which by the way, like Lily's Determination has been in every single one of these lists. I don't know if we've mentioned that. That card is clearly probably the best card for Mega Evolution set, and everyone is recognizing that, and that card has been busted.
Good card.
Yeah, that card's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even notice, but no Ultra Ball in a Psychic deck is crazy to me. So I imagine that TM Evolution was probably doing a ton of work, and that was like kind of like the number one game plan for going first was to hopefully find Arvin or Guzhala. You can go capture energy, TM Evo. Hopefully to get your evolutions out as soon as possible. But yeah, no Ultra Ball. Come on, I don't know. Surely you can fit Ultra Ball in somewhere.
Sometimes whenever I get Ultra Ball, I draw Ultra Ball. I don't want to use it, and I always feel bad using it because I have to get rid of all sorts of bad cards. But Jeff mentioned Timer Ball, and I don't know what your Timer Ball says, but mine just says put in the discard pile. So
surely when you're playing Ultra Ball though, Josh, grabbing Gallade is way more valuable than whatever 2 cards you're discarding.
Hey, I'm not saying I don't play it. I just say I feel a lot of remorse playing it.
I don't regret it at all. The deck plays Lusamine. It plays teammates. It's got Gallade. It's got Raihan. It's got Tulip. So like you can discard things that you can get back no problem.
I know.
It's got Malamar.
Always play Ultra Ball. Always play Ultra Ball. I'm not saying not to. Okay. Well, I'm just saying I have feelings, okay? And I feel bad when I use it.
Josh, we recognize your feelings, all right? I want that to be known. We recognize your feelings. And we need to recognize...
Right here. I keep them right here, okay?
The last card we can mention is the Devolution Spray there, which allows you to pull off the Natu KOs at the end of the game when you have Xatu evolved up. You can catch your opponent off guard by picking up that Xatu and going in with Crisis Punch without revealing that that's what you were going to do. So, yeah, pretty cool deck.
Yeah.
Crisis Punch is one of Jeff's favorite cards.
Yeah, that's how I cheesed out my fire badge. But we watched Ayana on stream, and Andrew was sitting there commentating, and throughout it all, he's just talking about the deck is falling behind against the item lock Garbodor deck, right? But really, its only path back at that point is to somehow find the Natu, right? Turns out that it's just really hard to do when you don't have abilities. So it was a cool include. I think there was even a chance that maybe a cool Lieutenant Surge's turn to maybe get the ball rolling. It just didn't quite work out. And again, obviously this deck is super strong, and we all thought that Psychic would do really well, but obviously it just shows the power of the Garbodor deck, the fact that it was just able to totally mitigate this deck and had no issue with it whatsoever.
All right, Staley. We got 5th place Trevor Redding with the water hydro pump list. And I mean, Trevor is really good at bringing, both a list that is pretty standard, but always has a little bit of spice in there that's just a little bit different or a little bit off than the usual. I can't remember what it was that he was playing. Maybe it's that glossed over card right there and the pick that I can't make out what it is.
I think that's just Field Blower.
Field Blower? Yeah, I was like,
the tech of all techs.
Yeah, this is actually less. This is actually less spicy than his last one. So
yeah, I know. It's a lot less spicy. But I mean, Trevor's always up there, top 8, top 4 finalist in the full grip games. Whatever K it is, GLC tournaments, just always showing out, doing well. And I love seeing water in the finals.
Yeah. No, Trevor, a fantastic player, amazing pilot. Just played extremely consistent and powerful water list and did really well with it. We did see him. Well, I don't know if it was. Yeah, his top 8 match was the one on stream. He lost to the fighting deck, Krista's fighting deck, and it kind of tore him apart a little bit, that Ting Lu. And Trevor said afterwards that he just had no idea what to expect with that deck. So into most other matchups, he was doing work and he was cooking. He played, I hate to say this, but he played 3 of us back to back to back, 3 of the Garbodor decks back to back to back. I was the 3rd one, and he beat all 3 of us.
Oh man!
So, the first one he played Tourney. it was actually Tony Garbodor locked him, judged or like Iono'd him to 2 cards and KO'd his or no, I think at that point Garbodor was dead, but I Iono'd him to 2 and knocked out his Octillery, and Trevor had no attackers on board, and like his 2 cards were like versus Seeker like superior or something to like like to take the final prize. So like Tony like had that locked up outside of like those specific 2 cards that Trevor drew. So luck was on Trevor's side a little bit into the Garb deck for sure. But it just goes to show you, a great player can deal with those walls, and we have to just take that on the chin that he took down 3 of us back to back to back.
Yeah. It's funny too because I remember after the fact he was talking about maybe like potential changes he'd make to his list, and we did see that he did drop Silent Lab and Greens, which were like the 2 huge tech cards that I thought were really like genius for the last tournament. But he did mention it's finally time to maybe retire 60 HP Rapid Strike basics between the Sobble and the Remoraid, which I feel like if we in the community have been like Raging Bolt's been an issue for a long time. And it seems like Trevor's maybe even a little slow on the uptick. Because, I mean, like, sure, they do have some useful attacks at some point. But yeah, I think we're on board. 70 HP basics are the way now, which again makes me feel away. But I'm okay. I've accepted it. I moved on. But I think that's one of the big changes he would make. And I think if you're at home watching this list, something to consider too if you're putting this list together.
Yeah. Yeah, and he also said to me that he was thinking of not playing the Lapras, and it actually ended up being the best attacker into Garbodor, which he played 3 times. So it's your easiest to power up attacker when you have no abilities. And so he was really grateful he played the Lapras. So for anyone considering dropping the Lapras, I would maybe encourage you to not do that.
Something I always like to see in water decks before we go on is, some type of healing cards, because you kind of have a tanky boy, right? So I like to see Rough Waves sometimes, and maybe that would have taken away some of the power that Chris had in that matchup, where just spreading that 30. Because I've in the past not having to have a bench barrier, not even having to have a Mala and Lana, but having that 30 heal to everything per turn sometimes just negates entire Ting Lu turns or just entire spread deck turns sometimes. So something to consider, maybe having Rough Seas to kind of just mitigate some damage that you might take, regardless if it's small or not.
Hey, there's Scoop Up Net in the list. That's a heal card.
It is a pseudo heal. Got 6th place, so Luna Dunham with the Egg Mill Grass Lock deck. And, I haven't put a whole lot of time into the study of this deck, but I know you guys have, dealt with it and play with it a lot more than I, but, I'm just not a fan of playing against lock decks myself. But somebody in this triangle has no remorse playing them. Over and over.
What's funny is I have still never played against this deck.
Really?
Yeah. Right, so I don't even have a ton of insight into the matchups. I just know generally from talking to people playing it that you're gonna lock, and then when you have to take a prize, you go up with Torterra and hope it's enough. I don't know, but it ends up being enough pretty often. You're denying energy with things like Faba and like Team Flare Grunt, I think, is in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Plumeria, Belelba, Bryson Man, shut off abilities with the Vileplume, of course, and shut off supporters with the Executor. So really denying your opponent as many options as you can. You even got that Tool Jammer in there because that's like one type of card your opponent can play. So it's just going to be as annoying as possible for you to to play any cards, and on top of that, you have to deal with a big Torterra. And yeah, I can easily see why the deck is able to win games. It's a pretty strong archetype, definitely the strongest Grass has currently. The only top 8 representative, and is playing the new Forest of Vitality. So makes getting back the Executor, if you can respond to an Executor or can respond to a Torterra, can you respond to a second one right away? We'll see. Something that it's really might be tough to get through, and Luna's also got the bench barrier in there. One of the only decks with bench barrier in top 8, I believe. Or Ihana just had it. But yeah. So you're not doing anything. This deck has all the answers if it can find them. So yeah. Congrats to Luna for top 8 in both standard and GLC this weekend.
Yes. Also the standard. Nice. Yeah, I guess is the only person here who's played against this deck. Like I got very fortuitous when I played against it, and I was playing Lightning Zone, and I had just like a low end Raichu, like decimating the bench, and like was very fortunate to find my switch outs when I was able to, and then not let them get set up. But obviously the item lock Vileplume, like, just shuts off so many things that decks are trying to do, and especially if it can get up and going early. And I imagine that Forest of Vitality into that early is probably just game winning in almost like 99% of situations. And I'm not sure if that happens a ton, but obviously it's there on the table. But just the fact that the execute can like recover itself, and then now you just need to find one more card, plus you have this Stadium that can put it right back into play, and your opponent probably just burned through a ton of resources to get rid of the execute the first time. It's just like insane. So not surprised at all that this deck was able to do what it needed to do. And even if like, the Vileplume's a little slow to get set up, you have the Venomoth here that can also, like, I think it confuses on attack and also item locks on attack too. So like there's just that, plus Roserade is just really good at finding that specific card to let you pop off. I mean, this deck is just obviously fun to play. The players that I've talked to that have played it say it's just like putting together a puzzle, and like obviously your puzzle can change from time to time, but obviously getting the pieces set up is the way to go. And then you're just, taking apart your opponent's puzzle the entire game. And that's what, Bryson or Belyeba and Bryson Man really does to kind of close out games and really put your opponent on the back foot. So I like this deck a lot. One of the cool exclusions, which was an inclusion I thought was like 100% necessary, is they've actually taken out the double turbo energy. And the double turbo energy used to just, you attach it to the execute and you would do the blockade attack, but it would reduce the damage to 0. So that if you could stall lock them, you never KO'd while you could obviously mill them out. But that has obviously been dropped in this list. So I'm curious. I don't have the answers for that, but I am curious why the double turbo, because I heard Ghouls talking about it. He mentioned it being super important, and now it's no longer in the list. So I'm wondering what Luna thought about double turbo in the list.
Good question. May we get an answer?
Yeah,
I'm sure to see. Yeah, congratulations, Luna, on that 6th place finish. Then we got 7th place, Noah Zoldak, with another Psychic deck. We have popular name is Curse Kiss, playing the Togekiss with the double flip for coin. You can, get an extra prize on KO. You got the Dusknoir with the 13 damage counters onto anything, or is it 15? 13? I could not remember. But like, we were talking and mentioning about Psychic being lower to the ground, stage 1s, big basics. Well, this deck is kind of like opposite-ish, playing 3 stage 2s, and 3 stage 2s can get a little bit messy. Sometimes I feel like it's always kind of like, am I going to be able to even get this all together? But making it to the top 8 out of 89 players tells us, hey, it's definitely possible. And we did see some work being done with Togekiss, getting those double prize turns when it's needed most. So it was really kind of cool to see this specific deck, do well. And then isn't that the new Mystery Garden where you discard a Psychic, draw up 2? So pretty good card. Nice to see it being played, and making it the 7th place is really, really something.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that we didn't see Mystery Garden getting played a little bit more in some of the other decks. I know some of the other decks, Josh, you mentioned this in your build-up, were lower to the ground, but Mystery Garden was a really card I was just like, it just feels like a free Kirlia at times. And then, Josh, you mentioned like so many stage 2s, but like, I mean, you got some good stage 1s in there on your ways to the stage 2, right? Like you got Dustclops, Opportunity, Curse Blast. You could stick Kirlia, just getting it on, your trade, discard 1, draw 2 as much as you want. The only real, I'm going to say parentheses here, real stage 2 is really Togekiss. So you can get by with just the stage 1. So I like this deck. I like the consistency of it. And that's kind of what Psychic has going for it. And then I'll shoot it to you.
Yeah, no, just sometimes it can deal games that you were never meant to win just by flipping 1 or 2 heads. So that's kind of what you're going for here with the Togekiss. And yeah, it worked out for Noah. He was flipping lots of heads on the day. He did go undefeated in Swiss, 502. Ended up losing to Jesse Parker in the top 8 with the Garbodor deck. But yeah, I think it served him really well. He was prepared to go like 0-3 drop. He kept saying, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, and things like that. And he just kept winning. He's like, I guess I'm still in it. So yeah, congrats to Noah. He's a friend from the Discord, and seeing him around at events. And yeah, I think he said that this was his best tournament finish ever. So really cool to see him succeed with the deck. I would like to ask him how good Mystery Garden was, because I think it's one of those cards that sometimes could be really good, sometimes it's kind of just useless. And one of my fears in playing it is that you might really need that energy, and can you afford to put it in the discard right now? I think without Xatu and only Malamar, it makes a little bit more sense, because you're not like using that energy itself to draw. So it's almost like replacing Xatu in a way. You're like using the energy to draw, just not attaching it, getting a little extra draw. But yeah, I would like to hear from Noah how much use it got. But yeah, just a very solid, straightforward Cursed Kiss deck. Nothing too crazy, and it took him there. So still has these evolving decks still have play. You can see this deck plays 17 Pokemon, which is just nearly a third of the deck. And when you compare that to something like Drago Box, which only plays 6, that's 11 extra slots for cards that Drago Box has compared to the Psychic deck. So if you're giving up 11 slots, those better be some really broken abilities, and in this case they are. And Psychic again is basically the only type that can afford to play this many Pokemon and still be successful. I think Water's like a close second, but
yeah. Mentioning all those slots that are getting filled. I mean, obviously Noah realizes that Psychic can have a slow time getting off the gate, and you see cards like Cleffa. We even see Tropical Beach in here, just cards that kind of get you down and draw you cards. And I think that was also kind of cool and neat to see from Noah's list. It's something that I haven't really seen from a lot of other Psychic lists. Obviously Cleffa has kind of become a mainstay, but Tropical Beach is a really cool include. I like it a lot.
Yeah, really.
That's what I was kind of eyeing up myself. You don't really see that in a whole lot of Psychic decks. You see it being played here, kind of just putting a priority on, maybe this round I don't have a good hand, or first turn I don't have a good hand. Well, if I got access to Tropical Beach, you can kind of recoup that. Kind of the same thing with Cleffa. You can draw up too. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
And you can afford to go behind on prizes as long as you're flipping heads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Good point. There you go.
I did it. I'll see you guys later.
You did it. He got his point. All right. And we got 8th place, Brooke English, with another Psychic deck. We saw a lot of Psychic this weekend, didn't we? 27 Psychic decks, and a lot of them make it to the top 8. But Brooks made it. What is this, like the 3rd time in a row?
Yep.
Like 8th place or higher, at least.
Yeah. It's almost the same list, right? Definitely the same archetype.
Yeah.
Been Monkey Dory the entire time.
Just on the cusp of winning the entire thing. We're like so close to winning. But it's really cool to see the consistency, of what Brooke's putting into, the psychic deck and being able to just refine it and, making sure to make it to this stage. So now we know that, Brooke can make it here. And I'd like to see Brooke make it all the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, really impressive couple tournaments from her. Especially, this goes to show she's a master at this deck. Sticking to one archetype, saying, I'm just going to play it perfectly. I'm going to know all my lines. I've done this before, and I'm going to do it again. And she just keeps doing it. The Monkey Dory deck with the Giratina. Just really, really powerful archetype. Being able to move those 3 damage counters, sneak out some extra prizes here and there. So it's no surprise to me. Shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that she found her way to the top again. Just a really, really solid psychic archetype. There's so many of them. This is the 4th psychic deck that we've looked at, and it's the 4th different psychic deck that we've looked at. It's just crazy. I can't believe how many different ways you can play this deck. Really, really strong.
You know what they say? Pokemon loves the purple cards, and they just keep printing good purple cards. And I think that might be the greatest downfall to Psychic, is you just can't pick any, like there's such a big combination that there is a perfect combination. But what is that perfect combination? We haven't found it yet, because there's just a ton. Maybe it's Garbodor, maybe it's Articuno with the Snipe. We don't know, because it's just so many good cards for Psychic. It's insane. Probably the best in the game.
Yeah. Not winning. That's the thing. Close, but not winning. We got 40.
Yeah, that's not me. It's like,
man, can we get a Psychic win? I mean, I love
it's
people.
Coming.
It's coming. That's what we've been saying, Ben. That's what we've been saying. It's coming. It's coming. That'll happen. I mean, it just never does, right? It's always a bridesmaid, never the bride, and I don't know what exactly it is. Obviously, Psychic is so busted. Maybe Psychic decks kind of prey on each other just because of the way that they're set up. We saw, I'd bet that this Monkey Dory just ate alive those other Natus that we saw on the day, right? This is the only Natu we've seen so far that's the 60 HP one. All the 40 HP Natus are probably getting Giratina'd and Monkey Dory'd in the same turn, So it's cool to see, again, another Psychic archetype. But, when are we going to get the Psychic win? That's all I want. When's Iron Boulder going to have its moment to shine? I just want a big giant rock with a trophy.
I don't know.
Just gotta believe. I like all the diversity of Psychic and how many different ways it can play the game, because it really does feel like truly different decks when you pick up these different archetypes. So in my opinion, it kind of adds to that diversity of the format, even though 27 decks of Psychic, it's much more diverse than that number. Lends itself to being. So your game plan into Monkey Dory Psychic is very different than your game plan into Garbodor Psychic, or anything else like that, or even Cursed Kiss. And so it adds to variations in gameplay. But keep printing broken Psychic cards, but they'll never stop.
Did you see any Lost Zone over the weekend?
I did see one person playing Lost Zone. I saw Tourney playing Garbodor. He did beat a Lost Zone deck. That's the only one I saw. I don't know how many. Was there a number for that in the meta breakdown? Or Natalie just wrote down the different ones she saw. She didn't say the amount. But there probably was at least 2, I would say.
Yeah.
People like it. I don't necessarily think it's the best, but
since we're all playing 70 HP basics now, I mean, it's definitely gotten a lot worse, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's probably not great into the new fighting deck, especially.
That's probably true too. I guess it should be said there was one medalist that we didn't really get a chance to talk about it. One medalist. I mean, Castella traveled.
Yeah.
Like from Portugal.
From Portugal,
He traveled from far away.
Yeah. To play medal, which again, kudos to him. Not a coward, 100%. We got to see a match on stream. I can't remember. I think he was playing against Dragon. I think he got kind of dismantled on some like pretty fortuitous like escape routes and Guzma plays and stuff like that. But it was still fun to see. I think he was like also just bubbled out.
He was top 16. He was 5'2". He was top 16. Same spot. One win away from top 8, unfortunately. But yeah, the whole weekend there was just a ton of creativity. I think more so than any of the past 3Ks that I've attended. Which is interesting because, like, I mean, obviously fighting got a big pool of cards, but no other type really got anything to like completely change itself. Yet we saw a number of new ways to build decks that were really fascinating. So just off the top of my head, like the fighting deck, of course, Garwador, DeAndre without the Bibarel, Emma Hagen, who won the standard event, was also top 16, 5'2" at this event, and she was playing a variation of Ursaluna that also used lazy slacking, as another, pseudo control mon that can hit big and take knockouts. So I thought that list was really cool as well. We saw, what else did we see? There was some other stuff. Those are the big ones off the top of my head. Just really creative, adaptations in the format. Castella's medalist was really cool, of course. No fire though, no dark, no lightning, no fairy. 4 types completely absent from the meta breakdown. I think they all kind of make sense. Like dark is worse than ever, especially with fighting buffs. Lightning also very scared of fighting. Fire, just a very below average deck to play. Fairy, I don't even count it. So, I wouldn't be. I personally am not too discouraged by the meta breakdown. Like some people I've seen, like this is a terrible spot for the place to be in. Like 4 types aren't played. Like, also like it's not this. What was played at Full Grip doesn't mean that those types are unplayable. It's just the people that happen to be there just happen to not choose them. Most of the people that played Lightning to the last Full Grip event were Full Grip locals, and 2 of the 4 people weren't here or something, and another one like switched to fighting, and so it's just a combination of people wanting to try different things, and the types being maybe not the best meta call. So yeah, but those types are still played plenty at locals, and if you love those types, definitely don't give up on them. Dark's about to get a buff with the Toxtricity, that can accelerate energy from deck, so it'll be cool to see if anyone cooks that up. I'm definitely staying away from that. I still think that fighting being more popular is probably a little too much for it to handle, but I know Ghouls also plays the Dark Control deck online a lot, and has some success with that. So I actually built that recently after watching him play it. So I think that deck's pretty cool. Yeah,
I'm excited for this next block of Mega Evolutions. I believe that like Mega Evolutions is like the base for what's to come. I'm excited to see what they have cooking up for both standard and indirectly affect GLC. I think they're going to have a lot of cool things. I think fighting might get even better because I think you kind of see them focusing on fighting and standard a little bit more. So fighting might get even better, and eventually, Dark will have its place. Maybe Dragon. Hopefully, we get a really cool Baby Rayquaza to use. That would be the best thing, at least for me. I would love to have a Rayquaza GLC deck. Please let me have it, and you could just put it in the Drago box deck because it's the basic, So So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see the future of GLC with this stuff.
I'm hoping for, because Mega Dragonite EX will be a card, so we're going to get a new Dratini Dragonair. Maybe if they give Dragonair trade or refinement, now we can put back in the fast call Dragonite to the Dragon deck. Yeah. So that would be kind of hype.
Yeah, lots of cool things that could happen out of this Mega Evolutions block. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like, I'm really enjoying Gym Leader Challenge again. There were a couple of like weeks, maybe even like a month, where it just felt like, Drago Box, which is it's a fine deck, but I just felt like decks that I really enjoyed were getting punished by specifically turn 1 and turn 2 Raging Bolts, and I was just like, oh man. And now it's just kind of like everything feels kind of open again. Meganium got a new printing. I'm just really enjoying it, and seeing what Ben mentioned about the deck creativity, and what Josh, you mentioned about like the future sets and all the stuff that we're going to see coming up with the new Inferno set and all this stuff. I think that the future of GLC is bright. Just stop printing good big basics.
Just print higher HP stage 2s.
You know what? That's the better way of saying it. What Ben said.
And give us 70 HP Natu and Inkay, please.
Yes,
please. And Snom. Please give me a high HP Snom.
That's never happened.
Oh, come past Eric. Just 60. Just a 60 so I can get past Dust Clouds. Just give me one.
Snom's like a tiny little butthead, man.
Oh.
Dude, he's this littlest guy.
What's the little worm, dude? The Wurmple. If Wurmple is 60 HP, there's like 3 or 4 printings of 60 HP Wurmple. Snom should get 60 HP. That's all I'm going to say. They're like the same thing. But one's just covered in snow and ice. That's tougher. Or maybe it melts.
I don't know.
Nice. All right. Let's go ahead and look at that meme I have at the end here. Pillow is trying to find itself again. Edit and fighting.draw.
Let me take a look at this meme I made. Hey, everybody. That was funny.
Oh, man.
Josh only does the videos so that we can get to the memes. That's the only part Josh enjoys. He's a Yu-Gi-Oh player now. He's just like, I just want to make a meme.
This Craig meme right here, dude. It's the best.
I know.
This is like the third time
you've going. I think so. It's hilarious. It's just like,
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you guys have any closing words for us?
No.
I just want to thank Full Grip, Andrew, Riley, JW, Natalie, the whole team for putting on this, because I know that, the production that we're getting is not just a normal production. It's, it's cared for. There's a lot that goes into it. And, it takes a team to actually get that going. You kind of see the guys rotate in and out so they can have rest and commentating. Natalie's putting in a lot of work, back and forth, making sure everything is running, smoothly on the floor. And I know that at big tournaments, 20-player cups can be a lot. And we're talking like 90+ player tournaments in a shop. I haven't been to the new Full Grip shop, but I can only imagine that it is packed, especially whenever, round 1, round 2, round 3, you got everybody there. So just give them thanks for, putting this on, letting us watch from home. It's pretty awesome to be able to do that. And the production is that of, Pokemon itself, to the point where and it might be even a little bit better because it's not crowded with all the other stuff. It's just the game. You see hands, you see names, you see the time art. That's it. Right. So really good. Awesome. And that's all I have to say. It was pretty awesome to see all the different cards and all the different, creativity has been mentioned earlier, throughout the weekend. So pretty cool. Really cool.
Yeah, and the next one is just just over a month away, right before Thanksgiving. Phantasmal Flames comes out, and we're going to have another one of these. So everybody should try and make it out if you can. I think it'll be a blast to see where the meta goes from here. How many people are going to both play the fighting deck, and how many people are going to tech for the fighting deck or tech for Garbodor or things like that. I think, yeah, the meta seems really wide open now. It's kind of unpredictable. So I'm excited to see what will happen.
Yeah.
There will at least
somebody
be
hits the
30 psychic
You go
decks.
30 psychic decks this next time. Hey, yeah, if somebody hits the Powerball and wants to fly me out, that would be great. I don't know. I tried to hit the Powerball while we were visiting my wife's family, and I didn't try. They were like, "Hey, you should get some tickets." We didn't win. So,
dang, dude.
There will be signs.
Just don't stop. Just don't stop playing.
Yeah, you can't win if you don't play.
Just keep gambling. Just keep gambling.
No, I was like, I don't even want to do this, man. I could state that $20 for those 4 tickets, put it in a little pocket, and say, "Flight to Full Grip Games."
That's at least part of what they could gas for you to drive yourself there.
2028.
2028.
Well, if you guys don't have anything else to say, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if you enjoyed Ben having no remorse for playing his psychic block deck. And remember, stay thankful, and we'll see you guys in the next one.